taking on Clearly Hacking Two Dog. How excited are you for this matchup?
Excited because Loshak gets to face his old team, and that he's even facing his replacement for that new team. I want to see him perform more than anybody else on Cursed Cowboys.
I'm excited too. Yeah, just seeing Loshat go against Goose here in this matchup. Both Soliners had bumped around different teams. Goose, I know, started on one of those earlier teams, making his way finally onto Clearly Hacking, is where his home is going to be for now. Loshak started on Clearly Hacking. He's going to find home on the Cursed Cowboys. This matchup's going to be pretty cool matchup. Another thing to note for this matchup is we do have Alex the First playing the support role for Cursed Cowboys instead of Lucio Horde here tonight. How much do you think that's going to shake up this dual lane?
It's going to shake it up a lot because Lucio, I used to team with him last season. He was the main shot caller. So Sneaky Dream, Taz, Vile Artist, Loshat's going to have to step up and make the shot calls, or Alex is just going to fit right in and take over the team.
Yeah, Alex comes right on in, starts shot calling his team, and they smack him around in a 2-0 quick victory. It would be so funny to see. And honestly, at that point, Lucio's probably like, all right, cool, I'm done. We won with that. Stay, keep it in here. We're getting into game number 1 right now. Athena being that first ban out, nothing super surprising off these top 2 bans right away. Is Ardio also being banned? No one really wants to see her still.
I don't like to see RDO.
Not at all.
RDO is one of the most annoying picks. Any soul laner can go. But I do know Goose doesn't like RDO, so it makes sense for Clearly Hacking just to get rid of it. And then Ullr's another one of those typical standard bans that Cursed Cowboys is banning right now.
And just take it away from Mass. Don't want to find out if he has a sick Uller or not. I already know how that man plays the lane. Very aggressive play style. Uller fitting right on into that. Not something I want to go against, especially for Vile, who definitely has a little bit more of that passive play style, likes to get to those later game hyper carry stages. Do you think they might ban out his ROM? I know that's one of his more highly contested picks that a lot of teams tend to lean to ban out in these top ban phases.
I wouldn't ban out his ROM because he's also got a Medusa, and I think Medusa and ROM are interchangeable right now in the meta. And then Clearly Hacking, banning Persephone. I know Taz has one. I would also see them ban the Tiamat. And then this Fenrir ban from the Cursed Cowboys. I'm not too sure. I didn't really think like Kajonas had a very good one, and then Geb goes unbanned.
Yeah, I don't know. Geb getting top picked in. That's something you love to see if you're the Cursed Cowboys. That feels really good. Put Alex on something that's relatively easy to play. Being a mid laner should help him out just a little bit in that support role. But you're right. Fenrir being banned out, a little bit more of an odd one. Kojo has been known to play it quite a bit. Played it in his debut set, and it looked really good in that set. If he's played it since then, I am unsure. I haven't got to cast all of those games. Morgan Le Fay was the last one out. So Tiamat still up on the board as well, Two Dog. But the Cthulhu Morrigan is what they're going to respond with.
The Cthulhu Morgan, I want to see Vile go for that ROM. He's known for it. ROM is one of the biggest shredders of Cthulhu. And then there's a Tiamat that Taz is going to bring out. Odin's still left on the table. Clearly
Yeah, I
Hack.
wouldn't be surprised. Not at all. That'd be it's a good pick.
Now you can cage 2 Cthulhus. Morgan
Yeah, that
turns into
sounds
Cthulhu,
good.
you just cage him, and everyone just walks away. And it's just, okay, now you don't have either ult. We just go right back in and win the fight.
Yeah, just turn around, blink Cataclysm right back in. Pretty good look right here for Cursed Cowboys. So, as you mentioned, Rom, one of those really good tank destroyers. Would not be surprised to see it get taken away here in the second ban phase, but we're not there quite yet. Still waiting on this third pick for Clearly Hacking. Now, they have a little bit more flexibility with this. They already have the support locked in for Cursed Cowboys. Can't really look at the Emir, which I was about to talk out as they now start to hover. One of the really good lockdowns for this Cthulhu Morrigan pickup, and they put it on their own team.
That counteracts a lot of the control that Cursed Cowboys has right now. Like Geb, Odin, they have a lot of space control, but you can't stop a Cthulhu in his ult. You can't stop the Morgan turning into the Cthulhu and then Cthulhu ulting. And now Ymir can just block off your path of escape, and then Cthulhu can just keep raining all his knockups, his ones, and destroy you.
Yeah, really good control here for Clearly Hacking. I'm liking what they put together. As we go to the second half ban phase, this is what I'm really excited to see, is because these bans are not going to be like, oh, these are the next best gods in their role. These are going to be specific target bans, I feel. Loki already be taken away from Sneaky. That's a god that he's known to really enjoy. Would not be a surprise to see maybe that realm we talked about. Maybe even they go for the Medusa as well, or changing one of those out. You would imagine potentially that realm. But Chiron, what are the picks that Masks likes to play?
Suki, another one that Sneaky Dream likes to play. These target bans are hitting personal for these players. I want to see what Sneaky can bring out.
Hou-Yi going to be the last ban out for the Cursed Cowboys. Another shot over to that ADC role. So Cursed Cowboys not wanting to see an ADC here in the second half of the ban phase for Mask. Whereas clearly hacking have their eyes on that jungle role. Don't really want to see what Sneaky is going to pull out for them. Where do you think Clear the Hack is going to go? Do you think they're going to prioritize their hunter now since two of them have been taken away and it's a little bit more time crunchy for Vile on Cursed Cowboys to have to pick maybe one or the two? Maybe they lock in the Rama here, Clear the Hacking does, and force Vile to pick something else.
I think since you're banning out Sneaky, if there's a third pick that he's really good at and Jonas can run, I think you pick this here. Because you got a lot of team fight in those three. Maybe you take something away from Sneaky that he's really comfortable with, and then force him on more pockets. Hopefully he has deep pockets. He may only have short, and then on her here. Hey, you can use Odin Cage against Odin, and you got a Ymir on your team. You should be hitting every impale on this team.
Oh yeah, definitely. Especially because this is Mask on the Honor, another god that he really likes to play. They look to try to take out comfort picks, but left him up the Honor, which is probably one of his better gods. So I'm excited to see this clearly hacking draft in full force. This dual lane of Amish and Mask ran a lot of the season last year, and honestly, I wouldn't be surprised to see it happen again.
Yeah, I wouldn't be upset to see it destroyed this season. But at the same time, Rom, Vile's really big comfort pick. He loves to play passive on it. And it's really hard to get a solo kill on a Rom when he really knows how to position with the Rom. And then you got a Cthulhu on your team, two Cthulhus. He can hit both Cthulhus at one time. That's a really big shred for Rom. Now, I want to see what their jungler is going to be here. Is it going to help out the team? But both teams, they wait till the last pick to pick their jungler. What do you think they're going to go for?
I think potentially Cursed Cowboys may look for. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised to see either team pick up an Awilish here. I think it could fit both really nicely in both of these team comps. Nemesis is another one that I was going to mention just because there is at least one Cthulhu that you're going to have to deal with. Why not pick up the Cthulhu Shredder? You have Ram already. Just slap a Nemesis into that team comp might help out quite a bit. But having two Cthulhus at Willox slots in really nicely with that comp for clearly hacking too. So again, I wouldn't be upset to see it there.
That's locked in here. That's going to be even more control for clearly hacking.
That's a lot of lockdown.
Two Cthulhus, two Humbats. That's scary. Or even a Cataclysm from a Geb.
That is terrifying. Very, very scary. So have to be careful where they lock down all of this potential that they have right now. Just looking at the drafts right away, Two Dog, which one catches your eye to really be the powerhouse here in this game number one?
I see Cursed Cowboys. They have a lot to counter the front line for clearly hacking. Vile is very known for his ROM. I'm not too worried about him. And Tiamat can get away from a Hunbats, can get away from a lot of these picks, and also get the damage mitigations. And then they can keep the Cthulhus where they need them to be and just dive the people that can't get away, like a Ymir. The Morgan, if she's not a Cthulhu. Humbats could be isolated by himself. Cursed Cowboys has a lot of answers to clearly hacking. Clearly hacking doesn't have as many answers to the other team because they don't have a lot of protection shred or a Tiamat killer on their team.
Yeah, very true. They don't have quite the Tiamat killer, but they do have an Honor, which could help out a little bit more with some of that shred that they have. And again, we have Ymir. You can't not talk about Amish's Ymir, another one of his really good picks. This dual lane is going to bring their pressure, and hopefully Cursed Cowboys can stick with it. But let's go ahead and jump right on in to game number one between Cursed Cowboys and Clearly Hacking. And you know what, Two Dog? We got snow. We have snow.
Yeah, this winter is coming in this game right now. Who can put the sweaters on first is going to be the winner of this game.
Who can stay warm and continue hot into game number two will be a question that we're asking at the end of game number one. As this gets started out, this is something that I'm very curious how everyone feels about specifically. Is Bracer starting on red buff? Is this something that you prefer to see your supports do, as if you have it, drop it there, or do you want to see them just using it in lane?
I like to see him use it in lane. Like the 5 seconds from a patch ago is a big difference. You automatically get to Wame now. Like if you're late, then your support must have forgot Hog. There's no reason to have Bracer on red buff anymore. And then this death toll coming out of Raw. as first blood just happens as Amish and BMS get their traditional first blood.
Oh, that was fast. Vile, no time to live or anything. Still, could have rolled out maybe, but wow, that was a quick first blood there, Two Dog.
Hey, getting a first blood in the first minute of the game is big, and Jonas is feeling himself because his team's getting first blood. This is already looking bad for that dual lane for the Cursed Cowboys. Maybe they're missing Lucio right now. That hopefully their mentals can stay in the game because having a sub and first blood happens in the lane of the sub could really strain your mental.
We'll stick in it. I'm sure one early death, it happens. That's a blinky mirror. You see that comment, you're like, oh, that happened the first time. All right, let's not let that happen again. We'll be able to play a little bit safer. Looking at the builds, though, Vile going into Death's Tool and then to that light bow, already starting off probably for an Ikai Ball, I would imagine. Is this where you want to see more of these ADCs that are really stim-based going, or do you think it maybe should still be more of what Mask is going, where that Cowl and Mace is a good start?
Well, Cow got nerfed in this most recent patch. It lost a little bit of the MP5 on it. Death's Toll gives you the sustain, and the short bow is Ichabod. You can never go wrong with Ichabod early. It reduces the enemy power, and if BMS wants to play aggressive, you're taking his power away, and you have Death's Toll. Every basic you hit is healing you, and you can hit the entire wave, so that's a lot more healing than what BMS can get from the Leather Cowl.
I'm just trying to really stay healthy and farmed up in this lane. You talked about earlier, it's going to be pretty much a stalemate lane once the supports walk away. Just Honor can't really jump in without Rama rolling away, and at that point, you're kind of just like, okay, cool, I did nothing at the end of it. But Purple Invade looking like clearly Hacking is going to go try to do that, but there's reinforcements from the Cursed Cowboys. Freaks comes out right onto Sneaky Dream. He's going to start dashing away. The Hoonbats is here. Great wall from Amish, though, is going to pin out Sneaky Dream. Will he be able to live, or is Amish going to get that kill? Looks like he's going to make it out on the backside of things, though. Mask is going to fall for Taz. First kill on the board for the Cursed Cowboys will go to their mid laner, and everybody else is running away.
It was a great wall from Amish, but it seemed like his team didn't trust him to make that great wall. And Amish has a really good Ymir. You have to trust him to make that wall. Like, that Nemesis was blocked off from every escape. You stay instead of jumping, you get the kill on Nemesis. You may still end up dying because you can't run away from the entire enemy team that's coming over. But you at least get a trade for the Nemesis.
ADCs have fallen out here in this early game, about a little bit earlier on. Then Mask has fallen down now as well. Which one of these deaths is really the one that hurts more? Is that first wave death so detrimental, or is dying right before you hit level 5 the big kicker?
I think the big kicker is dying right before level 5. Rom, he came back after his death, wasn't really down behind, and you went to invade, you died. He was part of that kill, so even though you both got an assist, you have a little bit longer death timer at level 4 than you do at level 1.
Regression happening here in the mid lane. Koto being able to jump away for the moment. Big brute minion from the team up, slowing him down just briefly to try to get a potential kill, but nothing will going to happen there. So you can move over the oracles. This early game farming slowly but surely is starting to add up. The 5s are starting to come in. The dual lane does hit it 5 before the Cursed Cowboys dual lane, so could see a little bit more potential aggression over there in those Amish. Looks to get a little bit more aggressive in mid lane. Taz is nearby. Morgan invisible, but just going to walk away from the moment, not trying to get too aggressive quite yet. Besides Amish, really. He's going to hold W the entire game.
Yeah, Amish loves to hold W. And the more he holds W, the more his team should follow right now, because you got a Geb, Tiamat, and a Nemesis as the mid 3v3. Your Humbats is level 5. Your Morgan's level 5. She's level 6 at the moment. That could be 2 Humbats ult to kill the Tiamat, who might still be in mage stance instead of the ground stance.
Yeah, the 3 is going to be the biggest part of this game, honestly, Two Dog, for Cursed Cowboys and for Clearly Hacking. Because if Clearly Hacking can get it off the ground and moving really, really quickly, they're going to feel really good. Whereas on the other side is if Cursed Cowboys can just stall it out and get, or maybe even get theirs moving, this game's going to shift towards that late game team comp very, very quickly.
Yes, and also Loshak's having pressure on this Cthulhu. Maybe he's playing up because, he did get dropped from this team. And I love to see this blue buff invade. That means he's stepping up when you need him to step up right now.
Loshak looking great so far early on in this game, about 6 minutes in right now, pushing back Goose under his tower line, saying, hey, if you want to pick somebody else instead of me, I'm going to put them straight underneath the tower and take their blue buff. A lot of damage put on to Kojo, as well as Loshak and Sneaky teamed up to do a little bit of a combo there on top of the Slice and Dice and Bird Bomb, having to force back Jonas to base. And then come back out. He does have his Jotuns online. Nemesis still backing to get her first T1 item. Now, as she's going to back right now, do you have a preference of where she goes into Crusher or Jotuns?
I think she just needs to go Jotuns because, you get more twos, you get more shield reflex. Also, more dashes to get away from their CC. You don't have a CC immune ult, so you need to be the one dropping the ult for the damage. Protection buffs. And you also just survivability.
She does go ahead and lean into that rest, as you mentioned, being able to do all the things you highlighted, especially that reflect damage, man. That feels so good as a Nemesis, where you're just like, I need a little bit of health. Let me just pop my fur really quick and then start healing up pretty quickly off it. No invades currently being happened. Haken's able to confirm their own red buff, but Amish once more in the enemy jungle, playing up very, very far. Has to be careful, doesn't get picked out here between two people. Knockup going to come through, and the slow wall is going to catch him because of that slow. The Nemesis ult is dropped on top of the Cataclysm. He's just trying to run away right now. He's going to go ahead and drop his ultimate, but huge Fear No Evil is going to keep him alive for a little bit longer. Vile's going to pick up the kill with the snipe. The second Hunbat's ult is here now. Sneaky Dream pops through to try to get himself out, but he's going to end up falling to KY on that transformation. Taz will return KY right after that. A really good pickup.
That was a really good ult from Kajonas, but as a Ymir player, I never want to see a Nemesis in the first place, but to still be inside their jungle against a Nemesis and then seeing that everyone's coming over to kill you, it's not a fun time, but you also got to be more aware of your positioning from here on out, because you can't let too many of those happen.
Especially on Ymir. Mask jumping in right on top of Vile, putting all the ult charges in. The Desert Fury is going to pick up the solo kill for Mask. Vile will fall here earlier on in the game as well at a second death to his total. We talked about that. Level 5, man, could be detrimental. Nope. It does not matter for either of these two ADCs. They're just going to take it a little bit later on in the game.
Well, a lot happened in there as this purple buff invade happens, and Taz also loses his beads. Now, both backline is without beads here, so Geb's going to have to do a lot of rotations between mid and duo to keep both of them alive. That's a big loss for Rum. You beads and you still die to the Desert Fury. Yeah, you got the kill on the Amish earlier, but you lost your beads and got soloed by the on her.
It feels really bad. Sneaky trying to find a little sneaky play onto that Morrigan, but she's going to be able to slip out nice and freely for right now. And you talked about it. Both the backliners have lost their beads, and this Gab's going to be doing a lot more rotation. Would you rather see this Gab just kind of sit onto one of those laners, have Alex maybe protect their mid a little bit longer, or protect their Rama? Both these characters are those late game hyper carries that we do see quite a bit, that both of these characters, or both these players, like to play. Is there one that might need a little bit more help getting to that late game?
Your teammate's doing fine. Like, they got a level lead, but your Realm might need a little bit more help. Since he beats and still died to that on her, maybe you sit there a little bit longer in the dual lane, maybe position a little bit more as a Morgan stun comes out on Geb. Geb's still going to walk out.
Alex going to try to keep running. Good wall once more from Amish. Will go ahead and knock down the life of Alex. Dual lane getting a kill on top of Vile with a little bit of help. Kajonas has gotten very, very low. If Ram was still here, Snipes could come down. He'd already been following the counter gank, not going to pick up the kill.
Vile getting punished for using beads earlier and still dying. And then he dying again here. Mask is getting a big lead, and one thing clearly Hacking loves to do is play through Mask, as we're seeing a fight here around Gold Fury.
Fear No Evil comes out. Taz going to shove right back into the pillar from Mask. Amish is very low, has to be very careful. Sneaky Dream going to pick up Amish. The fight could still be looking on. Now 2v2. It's Alex rejoin and make it a 3-on-2 now. Really good damage out of the backliners from clearly Hacking. The rest of them stunned. Stops Alex right in his track. The KY is going to fall. Taz with a beautiful primordial onslaught puts down the mid laner, and now Kajonas is the one on the board. Loshak made his way over. 5-man grouping for this Gold Fury. We're going to start the pull.
I'm loving Loshak's rotation here. like Goose is still in right lane. He might be getting a farm over there, but his team is getting this gold fear. He's helping out his hunter get to late game to deal with this Cthulhu as Mass falls trying to contest the gold fury.
Shaq playing up and playing zone duty right now. Gold Fury's still alive there. It finally goes down after a little bit longer. Alex very, very low. Just survived. Just a nick of health for that point in time. But yeah, you're right. Loshak playing really well, having really good locations, or rotations, excuse me. Sure, you talked about it. Goose is going to be able to farm up in that solo lane. But it's what are they going to do with all this farm? Loshak's already making an impact on the map. I need to see Goose go really big in these late game fights.
He needs to go big, and one way that help Goose go even bigger is get their ADC behind. Rom might be very good at shredding Cthulhu, but if you keep forcing him down like he is, he may not be able to do anything to a Cthulhu late. Cthulhu could just go up in the air and kill him with just 2 abilities in his ult. And they're still pressuring out that Alex, the sub, for the support for the Cursed Cowboys.
If you're going to target somebody, target the support, man. You just keep them down. You know, there's somebody that doesn't have that synergy with the rest of the team, so totally understand it. Kojo getting into the back of Sneaky Dream's camps, taking those both away. Now it's up for him to try to run himself out. Jumps away. Alex is close. Cataclysm not quite gonna reach and connect. It'll be Kajonas making the escape of his lifetime all the way from the back camps of the Order side jungle into his mid T1 tower.
Right now, that was a good play by Kajonas. He's also got one of the best escaping gods without being CC'd in the game. And then you also got Taz here, who's got a level lead on KY, probably a level and a half. But both carries are opposite, like mid lane. Taz has got a big lead, and then dual lane, Max has got a big lead. Who's going to make bigger impact in the game? Right now is yet to be seen. I would love to see the answer later.
Yeah, I would too. And you have to imagine that it's going to be Taz in this Tiamat, right? Tiamat, one of those late game hyper carries, just does a lot more than Anhur can physically do with his kit in those late game team fights. I know you have all this different mobility from Tiamat, getting 2 different stances, getting a couple different ultimate chances, get some minions going down a lane, getting a slow, like just a lot more just versatility in these late game team fights. But, you know, Mask has been proven a lot of people wrong and just gone like, hey, I may only have like 2 abilities, but I'm going to keep going. Loshak pops his ult, trying to get himself out for the moment. Jump is going to get him away from the Cthulhu knockup and is able to force out the Descent into Madness, which is a really good start. Also got the Fear No Evils, 2 ultimates down. Loshak has to be careful, doesn't step too far forward until his detransformation comes out. Sneaky Dream pops the ultimate right on top of the Cthulhu, but there's 4 here. This is not where you want to be, my friend. Stuns come through. The Geb Shield cleanses for a second. Huge 3-man Cataclysm is going to get Sneaky out for just a moment, but the Fear No Evil from KY is what's going to pick him up. That Morrigan transforms into the Humbats and goes right back under the tower and takes the tower shot to knock him down to Taz. Desert Fury putting the damage right into Taz and will take him down as well. Alex, the only one left over here on this side of the map until Loshak makes his way back from base, but clearly hacking's done. They're out.
Vile Artist, he's taken out the tier 1 left, and he might take the tier 2. That is, I think, bigger than what's happening in the right side right now, because they didn't really get anything but a tier 1 earlier over here, and that tier 1 is the only thing that's still down on this side of the map. And Loshak is being huge. He's coming back, and he's like, no Pyromancer for you, no Fire Giant for you. And Vile got a tier 1.
He's so close to finding Amish, man. He's so low. Loshak couldn't quite hunt down the support. Clearly hacking made it out of that engagement so very closely, very quickly as well near the end of it. But Loshak managed to come back, dropped his ultimate twice in that. He does have a Jotun's Wrath online. He has some Genji. He's got a lot of cooldown. He's able to just keep popping that ultimate as soon as it's back up.
He's making a lot of impact, and early at the start of the fight too. Like you saw the Odin, he trapped the Cthulhu. That's what he can do in the late game team fights. Cthulhu could just literally be in a box late game, and nothing they can do about it. And Odin's just gonna run around, do what he wants to do, and have shield after shield after shield with a whole bunch of cooldown, and then drop a second ult later in the game and later in the fight to trap your team to get more kills.
Put him in a box and then get your box back in like 40 seconds. Seems like a pretty fun play to me, you know? Somebody goes up, big set in the Madness, like, yo, let's go, I'm Cthulhu, we got 2 of them, and then Loshak's just like, here's a box, stay there. And leave us alone for a little bit. Pyromancer now going the way of Cursed Cowboys. Look like any steal potential is going to happen for the boys in red. They're going to let that one go just pretty much freely at this point. This dual lane pressure, though, is where I want to look back to. Vile getting that T1 tower, he's split push, trying to get as much farm as he can because he's got to get this Rom online.
Yeah, he's got to get the Rom online, and we all know Rom and Nemesis is the biggest counters to Cthulhu, but now you got Odin also. The team fight's going to go really well now because he's farmed back up. BMS didn't get a lot over there in that dual lane, or that soul lane side. As you see them starting the Gold Fury, and I don't see any contests coming out from the Cursed Cowboys. This is going to be the first ejected Cursed Cowboys don't get, which is a big win for Clearly Hacking.
Has just been able to take out this Gold Fury, give him that Primal Fury, make it a little bit easier for them to take out that bigger objective of the Fire Giant a little bit later on. Val did have the snipes, but knew Kojo was in the area, couldn't get up into them without facing immediate death as soon as he landed, and probably the right choice.
Yeah, it was probably the right choice. Just back up. Don't risk your life. You're already behind. You don't want to get too far behind. And also, what's worse, going up in the air and then they just wait for your ult to go down and then you fall to your death. That's going to be even less fun because they had Hunbats waiting for you, and Hunbats had ult. He was ready just to drop it when you landed, and you just died.
So have to be careful with that. Loshak going to TP out to the right lane. Maybe stop that Cthulhu back at the same time. Nope, Cthulhu going to make it out for the moment. Alex putting a little bit of pressure on this left side jungle. Knew that red buff. And to force Amish to use the wall and keep him out. Only one minion going into the tower. Doesn't look like they're going to get this tower, but they're going to definitely try to force it down right now. AY on that invisibility, trying to stun out Sneaky Dream, but they're going to force down that T1 tower the Cursed Cowboys do. Give them a little bit more pressure here in this mid lane.
Yeah, they're putting pressure, but I also like Cursed Cowboys here. Like, a lot of the grouping is coming from them. Like, they're grouping up better than Clearly Hacking is, and that's unusual for Clearly Hacking. Usually Clearly Hacking's like, they're running around like 4-man unit on the soul laner, 4-man unit on the dual lane. Cursed Cowboys is looking really good playing together.
And granted, they have a sub too. We talked about it earlier. Alex played very well cohesively so far with this team, and you can't discredit that at all. I mean, they've looked great so far.
Yeah, they look very great. And Clearly Hacking, maybe you came in here not thinking this team's going to be a tough team to beat, and maybe that sub is throwing them off because the sub is playing a Geb. Maybe Lucio doesn't have a Geb. Maybe they scrimmed before. Maybe they weren't ready for the Geb, and it's Clearly Hacking looking a little flat-footed at the start of this game. But I hope they can turn this around.
See if they're able to pick up the pace here going to the later stages of the game. And you're right, having a sub can really throw off the entire God pool. Maybe they did scrim and they're just like, okay, cool. We know exactly what their support wants to play, and that's what we're going to target ban, and then we're good from there. And all of a sudden there's somebody new, and it's a little bit different. Loshak going to blink through the wall to try to catch out Amish for the moment. Nothing going to happen there. So on the other side, is Cthulhu going to get caught out? Cataclysm and the ultimate from Nemesis put on top of the Goose, and he's going to fall pretty much immediately. Add one to Sneaky Dream's column. Good pick here for Cursed Cowboys. Is going to open up this Fire Giant just a little bit more.
Yeah, he's going to open up the Fire Giant a little bit more as Jonas jumps over the wall onto the Tiamat.
Loshak stepping back over. Jump from him in as well, but no extra aggression as the reinforcements have arrived for Cursed Cowboys. And Clearly Hacking not wanting to take in a fight while they're down a player.
Also, right before that fight, you saw Odin. He was pretty much zoning out the entire team. He blinked, and the Ymir insta-blinked. So now Ymir doesn't have the initiation that a lot of Ymirs love, the blink initiation freeze. And then they got the pick on the Cthulhu, and as Odin jumps in, he gets a stun on to Morgan.
The drop is all in return. The cage is out. And that little Gungnir going to hit on the Code Jonas for the moment, slow him up just briefly. Goose has respawned and has made his way back towards the fight right now, just passing the speed buff. This Cursed Cowboys starting to group up towards this Fire Giant. And they're decided to now start looking at this Fire Giant instead of when they had that pick. You got to imagine this is going to be a bait because they know they can win these fights. Actually get knocked by the Fire Giant, but it's in the back line of Clearly Hacking. That's the problem. Mask, though, finds the kill on a Sneaky Dream, and that's a really good start. Vile up in the snipes, trying to find the kill on the Mask. Not going to have it quite yet. Loshak's going to fall now to the Hunbats. Jonas picking up one of the team fight, and the madness is raging, as well as a Fear No Evil gonna bring down, it looks like, the Geb very, very low, and he will finally fall. KY picks up Vile. There's only Taz left. The monkeys hit. The teleport is good. Stun not for Taz, and he's being slowed all to high heaven right now. Just trying to live. Good thorns out from Goose as well. Give the double kill over to KY and the full-on deicide to Clearly Hacking.
That was a big mistake by Cursed Cowboys. They had the pick. They could have just pulled the Fire Giant. Like, if you're going to pull the Fire Giant, pull it when you have the pick. And not when the guy that you picked earlier in the fight, now walking back in after 30 seconds of death timer. And you just wasted your entire opportunity there. Clearly, Hacking's going to get this Fire Giant. They're going to get this Pyromancer. Now they're on the front foot when you could have been on the front foot.
Exactly right. Gold League's now swinging the way of Clearly Hacking, puts him back in the driver's seat. We talked about it. When are they going to pick up the pace? If they're going to be able to pick it up the pace, that happened right there. Flip the switch on that Fire Giant, able to step up and start pushing down these lanes now. We'll see where they elect to start. Is there somewhere you prefer them to start at?
I think you go right tower to left tower, then left tower to Phoenix. Because if you get that left Phoenix, now it's on the opposite side of the Fire Giant. They're not going to be able to contest the Fire Giant freely without worrying about the fire waves. But I do like Cursed Cowboys trying to take initiative here, starting this Oni Fury.
Be careful though. Blink Freeze from Amos is going to catch Loshak off for the moment. Pillar's going to keep Loshak very, very slow as Kojo is going to take out the Oracles. Big objective here at this point in the game. Loshak being able to sneak away with his life for the moment in time, but the Gold Fury now, started up by Clearly Hacking. Should be able to go their way. Loshak wants to try to get in there, but Goose is keeping him from pretty much stepping any farther forward. Oni Fury going the way of Clearly Hacking. The rest of Cursed Cowboys have to back off.
Yeah, another problem with the Cursed Cowboys and Clearly Hacking is Loshak made those rotations, and Goose stayed and farmed, and Goose has got a 3-level lead. And your ROM's behind, your side lanes are down. The 3v3 did their job. They didn't get destroyed by an earlier game 3v3. As we see a Humbat's ult comes out.
I don't know what Sneaky's doing there in a really rough spot. Gungnir going to try to kick out Kojo. Won't quite connect on it quite yet. Blink will be the end of that chase for him. Loshak trying to clean up what his jungler had unfortunately started there. Not really what he wanted to start.
Yeah, as Sneaky, you kind of have to understand that Humbats is going to be right outside the tower. He's going to be right where you can jump over the wall and then get a good Humbats ult off. As Cthulhu dashes in.
Straight up into the Descent of Madness, the Cthulhu goes, putting the damage into the backline. Val not being able to shred him quite yet, as we talked about. Not fully online quite yet, does have the kin size, so he's doing a little bit of damage, but Goose is doing a little bit more. A lot of damage coming out. Good freeze from Amish, though, keeps the Geb from being able to back up any farther. The second Cthulhu is here in KY, though, trying to zone out the rest of the team to allow their ADC to fucking just straight up and shred this Phoenix. It'll finally fall at that point.
They went left tower to left Phoenix. Good call, as Cursed Cowboys is just stepping up on Clearly Hacking, and they stopped the chase. Cursed Cowboys, they look like they were in sync in the start of this game, and then later this game goes, you're starting to see the cracks form when the Clearly Hacking starting to team up together.
Mission's starting to happen. Kojo going to the right lane now, taking a little bit too much damage from Taz. Clearly Hacking able to take down that mid tower. Also got that left Phoenix. You wanted him to start right tower, go to left tower, and then go to left Phoenix, but they skipped 2 towers, hit the left tower, and then went down to the Phoenix.
They got all the towers that I said to get, but in the completely wrong order. But sometimes casters, we don't know everything that they want to do.
Not never. Never is it what we want to do for what they end up doing. Or are they going to play the game exactly how we're expecting them to play and always have cool little ins and outs that we're not always expecting? You never expect Cursed Cowboys to start up to that Gold Fury, and then you never expect someone to be maybe out of position somewhere and let a jungler 1v1 happen, and then, you know, Loshak could get that kill on top of Kajonas who's trying to run away. That changes that fight significantly as well. So it's really just intricate. Not all the time that we know what we're talking about, but we generally do, right?
Yeah, we generally know what we're talking about, but
Maybe
Sneaky did need to know a little bit about where that Humbats would position. He did it. He ran right into the Humbats. Humbats gets the kill. Odin then uses the cage that he needs to use for the Cthulhu to try to get the kill on the Humbats. And that it just kind of kept snowballing from there. See, where you lose a Phoenix, you lose 2 more towers. Now you're not in a very great position to contest the Fire Giant. Little things snowball out of control sometimes. And I guarantee you, Clearly Hacking was stepping up to that tower not expecting to get the Phoenix yet.
I bet not. They're like, oh, we can just go do this now. We have a second Cthulhu out, so they went ahead and did it. The only shining hope at this point, though, it's only 25 minutes in the game. realistically, you could end up giving this Fire Giant if you think you can defend on one of these Phoenixes. Is Alex now step far forward. That wall is going to last for a very long time from Amish, but the rollout will keep the Geb alive for this moment in time. Able to roll right back in, try to find Kojo. Not going to connect. It took a little bit too much damage to the expected. Kojo blinking forward. Fear No Evil on top of Alex. Only target right now for the jungler. He's going to go ahead and fall. The Sentinel Madness now right on top of Taz. Going to knock him up. Makes him about half health. The jump away will be good. It looks like Loshak going back in on the back side of things as KY is really trying to chase out that mid laner. KY going to end up getting that kill. Desert Fury going to come straight through. Loshak going to drop the ult and cage out Amish. Keep him from coming back in. Bile going to turn around and try to return some of this damage onto the support player. And it looks like Bile's going to be the only one that steps right back up towards the speed buff. Has to be very careful.
Yeah, another thing too is like Loshak doesn't seem as tanky as the Cthulhu, and maybe because of the Jotun's Wrath. Maybe that should have been a Pridwin instead. A lot of things happen with the Odin. He's behind. He needs to get something more defensive. But now he's looking at either a Shifter Shield or even a Glad Shield. That's not the tankiness that he needs. And then Cthulhu also gets extra health with Mail Renewal. Imagine if he gets it in his ult. That's even way more healing. And there's only a Brawlers on the side of Cursed Cowboys.
Not really at all for them at this point in time. You're right, but Fear No Evil coming out on top of Loshak under this mid Phoenix. Loshak, Kojo's gonna end up falling. Sneaky Dream gonna get that with a little bit of help of the Phoenix damage. Loshak back in it, now dropping the cage and caging out KY in their Cthulhu ult. Alex is very far forward in the front end of the Phoenix. He gets slowed again once more, and he's able to walk just away, but the knockup comes through. Won't quite kill him yet. Geb Shield is good enough to keep him alive here. Now it's the Goose's turn, raining his madness. What descends into it. The rest of Cursed Cowboys aren't looking to fight besides really Loshak right now. Everybody else is trying to clear out waves. Maybe defend this right-hand Phoenix, which is the target now of Clearly Hacking. About half health as Mask is wailing away on it in the backside. Goose all the way forward. No ults really left for the side of Clearly Hacking. They're only going to get it to about 3/4 health gone, and then they're going to back up.
Yeah, they're going to back up. Great fight from Clearly Hacking as they look like they're about to re-engage.
We're going to go back in. Is KYA just going to have to use out of there. Amish gets to find the nice wall. Stuns 2 out with a freeze afterward. One of those being the ADC. Going to have to use the Aegis for the moment. Bile takes a lot of his health bar. Has to be very careful. Odin cage once more, caging a lot of people up. It's not going to keep them in there very long. ADC is nearby. And this is putting the ult once more into Goose. Round up into the snipes now. Try to find KY potentially in the back, who just picked up Sneaky Dream. Won't connect on most of them. Bile is back in the fight on the ground and a target for a little bit more of these. Amish looks like he wants to step forward and try to find some. Taking a lot of Phoenix damage, needs to be careful. Loshak going to jump to the back line, not going to hit anybody. Cataclysm finds none, but the Tiamat will. 2 more go down now for Clearly Hacking. This Phoenix is detrimental. Goose looks like he could fall up next for the boys in red. He's going to go ahead and go down, but the minions on the Titan. Fire Minions pouring down, doing a lot of damage to it, bringing it to about half health. They send back the Tiamat to try to help clear them out alongside the Geb. It was a really good fight, but the Titan's taking a lot of damage.
Titan taking a lot of damage, and now it just seems like Clearly Hacking just walk in with a double Descent of Madness and just say, Titan's over, games, move on to the next game. The only way to really stop that is with an Odin cage. Luckily, you have it right now with Loshak. But you can only really stop one if Morgan or someone else walks out. Like, if the first Cthulhu, the Cthulhu on the ground that's not the Morgan, has Phantom, they can just hit Phantom and then go into Descent and Madness and then go to the Titan. I don't really see it as a way to defend this game if you're Cursed Cowboys. It's not looking very good.
They got to find somewhere to put their last stand, really, because, again, you can't fight in the Titan room. We've already been there. I mean, realistically, Clearly Hacking could just walk straight down this mid lane. Fire Giant not going to spawn for another 2 minutes. Still has about a minute left on it. Only KY has that Fire Giant around their waist, and this isn't going to be an EFG that comes up next. So if Clearly Hacking don't try to run it down right here, do you think Cursed Cowboys just stick their guns up on this Fire Giant?
You got to find a place to last stand, and I think you do stick your thumb up and say, look, Fire Giant's here. This is our last chance. If you're Loshak, you got to get both the Cthulhus in your ult, which is the Morgan and the Cthulhu. Because they have not really been utilizing that aspect of Odin, where he just keeps the 2 biggest problems in a cage, and then you find somewhere else to fight. Like, Taz needs to jump in there. Rom can deal with the two Cthulhus by either using his basics to shred them or going up into the air and not worrying about them being at their head level. Like, you can't hit me up here because you're buff and you can't get your arm above your shoulders.
Just imagine Cthulhu just like swinging at the sky, trying to hit Rama, just like and swinging his claws. Looks like the right lane is where Goose is starting a fight with Loshak right now, and the rest of Clearly Hacking looks like they're on their way towards the mid lane. Potentially is where they're going to try to sneak in and go backdoor this game. Mid Phoenix coming up, left Phoenix also coming up. They're going to try to knock down these Phoenixes very, very closely, or they could just go straight for the end. KY is going straight there, looks for the transform. There's the one Descent to Madness, and there's the second one. Both Cthulhus are right on the screen, and they're going to pound down on that Titan. Game number 1 going over to Clearly Hacking.
They didn't really find an answer to the Cthulhus. They had the 3 counters to the Cthulhu, and it just seemed like they weren't really using the counters to the Cthulhu. If I'm Curse Cowboys, you got to find another answer to the Cthulhus. It's not looking very good if you're going to let that Cthulhu go into game 2.
You think that's what they're going to look at in game 2 is maybe ban out either the Cthulhu or the Morrigan, maybe saying, hey, we can deal with one of them, but dealing with 2 of them's a little bit harder? Do you think it's, let's ban both of them, get them both out, and run a new strategy?
The thing is, like, what you're going to leave open, I think if you're going to leave the Morgan open, you have to get rid of the Cthulhu. You really could not deal with both of them. So I think you have to look into that, banning out one or both.
To see what they elect to do in that game number 2, taking a look here at the stat screen. Anything that really catches your eye right away? I know we talked a little bit about this Morgan and Cthulhu. Matt's kind of sitting pretty over there, 3-3-6. Did what he needed to. Didn't have to do too much in this game. A lot of it fell on the shoulders of the front line in KY.
I don't really see anything that's in particular, but Nemesis not doing a lot of damage when there's 2 Cthulhus on the map. Maybe you put Sneaky on something that he's way more comfortable with. Pick it up in the top 3 because you saw a lot of target bans at Sneaky in the bottom part of the ban phase. Maybe you put him on something he's more comfortable with. Or Vile. Vile didn't have a very good game on his signature ROM. Maybe give him something else that he knows how to play.
Yeah, we'll have to switch it up and see what he elects to do here going into game number 2. Let's find out what they do in those picks and bans on the other side of this break.